Let me tell you, if you ever inherit an old house, don't expect peace, especially if that house sits anywhere near an HOA. Yeah, I know HOAs, they're supposed to keep lawns green and neighbors friendly, but trust me, sometimes they're just a way for people with too much time and not enough power to try and run your life. I'm not kidding. The night I pulled up to my uncle's place, mine now by every line in the deed and every last letter in county records, I thought the only thing waiting for me would be a creaky porch and the smell of dust. What I got was a war. Picture this. It's after 10 and the sky's so black you can't tell where the road ends and the woods begin. My truck's the only thing moving for miles, and when the headlights cut through the gravel, it's like slicing bread. There's this hush over everything. No lights, no sound, just me and this house that hasn't seen a soul for over a decade. The key fits the lock like it never left. I push open the door, step into air thick with old memories, layered and heavy but solid. The kind of solid that feels permanent, like the world could end, and this place would still be standing. I didn't bother unpacking. Just dropped my bag by the door, cracked a bottle of water, boot still on, and collapsed on the couch. I might have slept 3 hours. Then 5:34 in the morning, there's a knock on the door so hard it nearly rattles the hinges. Not the friendly kind of knock either, the kind that says I have a badge, or at least I want you to think I do. You ever get one of those, you know the feeling? So I'm still half in a dream, pulling on my jacket, and when I open the door there, they are 3 people, 2 guys in these knockoff security uniforms, and a woman in a suit so crisp it could slice cheese. Bleach blonde hair, pearls, and a tablet she's holding like a cop with a warrant. She doesn't say good morning. She doesn't even say her name. Just, you are like I wandered in off the street. I tell her this is my place, inherited from my uncle, legal and proper, every document to prove it. She just smiles tight like she's chewing glass. And then she lays it out. Cypress Hollow Homeowners Association. You can't just occupy this property, you need board approval, compliance reviews, and apparently my permission to breathe. Now look, I checked before I even drove into this county. This place wasn't under any HOA. My uncle hated that stuff. He refused every single offer to annex right up until he died. I'd seen the letters myself. So when she starts talking about votes in 2019 and controlled access easements, I nearly laugh. But I don't, because her guys are shifting, trying to look tough. I ask who she is. She says Karen Mills, like it's supposed to mean something. And if you're thinking what I'm thinking, yeah, that's about as on the nose as it gets. She tells me I'm in violation. She's got codes, subsections, and an attitude like she wrote the law. I ask if she's for real. She doesn't blink, just says, this is a courtesy notification. Vacate within 72 hours or the board will take further action. I can't help it. I ask, by who, your knitting club? One of her muscle flinches, like maybe I went too far, but she doesn't crack. She says, by the enforcement arm of Cypress Hollow, like she's the sheriff in a one-stoplight town. I take a breath. 2, actually. I tell her, okay, you made your point, now get off my property. She promises a citation in 24 hours, turns on her heel, and her guys follow. I watch them go, their SUV crawling out of my driveway like a hearse. Barefoot on the porch, I see the sky just starting to lighten, and that's when I notice a piece of paper taped to my door. Not from the county, not from a court, just HOA letterhead and a demand that I vacate, signed in bold. I rip it down, stuff it in my pocket. Then I do what anyone with half a brain and a bad temper would do. I call the sheriff. Now I know Mendy's. We'd worked together back in the day chasing down logistics grifters in another county. If there's a man who couldn't care less about HOA nonsense, it's him. When I finish telling him what happened, he starts cursing at them, not me. Chris, he says, you're not in Cypress Hollow. Never have been. And he walks me through it, parcel ID, plat map. Everything says my place is separate, untouched by their jurisdiction. There's never been an annexation request, and even if there was, it'd have to go through hearings, public notices, all of that. Did you get a letter, he asks. I hadn't. Then they're bluffing. Or they're idiots. Or both. He says he'll send a deputy out to check, and meanwhile I drive down to the county office, get every record I can. By noon, I'm back home, a packet of legal proof thick enough to stun a horse in my hand. That's when I see it, bright orange sign zip-tied to my gate. Private road, HOA, access only. Next to it, a cheap metal post and a chain strung across my driveway, padlocked, no code, no warning. Just a big, shiny screw you. I call Mendy's again. His deputy shows up, helps me cut the chain, takes photos. We leave a warning taped to their sign, unauthorized barricade investigation pending. But now I'm angry. I want to know what story they're telling themselves to justify this circus. So I pull on some clean boots, grab my folder, and walk straight into Cypress Hollow. Their community office is a trailer, smells like fake lemon and stale coffee. The receptionist looks at me like I'm an alien. I ask for the board president. In a minute, Karen steps out, mug in hand, her smile stretched tight. I lay my documents on the desk, deed, court ruling, county map, photo of their illegal sign. She doesn't even look. The board voted unanimously in 2019 to include your parcel, she says. Internal governance decisions are enforceable. I laugh. Not when they're about land you don't own. She sips her coffee. We reclassified the access road as a protected corridor. So your home is now subject to community rules. She gives me 72 hours to file an appeal. To the board, naturally. I let the silence drag. Then I tell her, you're playing with fire. She doesn't flinch. We're protecting community integrity. That night I set up cameras, porch gate fence, all angles covered. At 2:43 a.m. my phone buzzes, 3 hooded figures at the door, taping up another notice. Final warning. Immediate evacuation required. This time I call Mendy's and a lawyer. The next morning there's a new gate across the road, steel keypad booth, all the works. A guy in a vest sits behind the glass, radio crackling, tells me I need an RFID card to pass. He's got Board Order 2019 written down like it's gospel. I flash my proof. He doesn't care. So I walk the property line, find the old survey pin, see that their concrete footing for the gate sits half a foot over on my land. Amateurs. They want it to feel permanent, but they don't have the law. Back inside, I spread out maps, compare every inch. The county map from 2007, my land is an island separate. Their glossy 2019 copy, miraculously, my parcel is now within their boundary. But the font is wrong. The signatures look traced. The file metadata is suspicious. I call the county surveyor, Alvarez. She shows up, runs her tools, and frowns. This gate's on your property. There's no record of an easement modification. Someone's been creative with their paperwork, but the county doesn't play along. Meanwhile, HOA security gets bolder. A clipboard guy tells me there's some debate about the fence line. I tell him there isn't. And if he steps foot past my line again, I'll have him trespassed. That night, I gather every scrap of proof, photos, mailers, recordings, and drop it at my lawyer's office. Caroline, my lawyer, is a shark. She barely looks at the stack before saying, "We sue." She lists charges: harassment, fraud, criminal mail tampering. Turns out all those companies contracted by the board family and friends. The same old story. Caroline files a cease and desist, and that's just the start. By Thursday, 2 uniformed HOA officers show up with an eviction notice. I tell them to leave. They insist. Sheriff Ortega arrives, checks their IDs, bogus. Within an hour, they're cuffed, and an investigation into impersonating law enforcement is underway. But Karen doesn't quit. Contractors install another gate, this time right before the county road. I document everything, call Caroline. She files for an emergency injunction, and by Friday, a court order demands the gate's removal. I think maybe, just maybe, this is the end. Saturday morning, no water. Not a drop. My backup tank is empty. I check the lines and find a brand new lock on the shared pump HOA sign taped on. Unauthorized tap detected. I laugh, but it's not funny anymore. Later, I get a USPS email. My mail's been forwarded to a P.O. box registered to Cypress Hollow Community Services. I drive to the post office. Sure enough, a manual request was filed, signed with a shaky version of my name. Clerk says HOA types do it all the time with rentals. I restore my mail, flag the box, and head home to a new violation notice on my mailbox. For excessive lumens. I hadn't even turned the lights on. It's clear they're escalating, so I do too. I dig a trench, set up my own water tank, install solar panels, log every incident, dates, photos, recordings. When an HOA guy shows up with a tape measure, I warn him off. That night, I hand a flash drive of everything to Caroline. We're building a case. The next week, HOA men come with another eviction notice. I film everything, hit the panic button by my door. Ortega shows up, arrests them for trespassing and impersonation. Then finally, the nail in the coffin, county forensics find the 2019 annexation vote was a sham. Names signed to the vote dead, moved away, or never existed. The architectural plans drafted by Karen's husband dated months before the fake vote. It all unravels. Karen and her board get arrested. Charges include everything from impersonation to mail fraud to conspiracy. The HOA is dissolved. Cypress Hollow as a legal entity ceases to exist. I get a court settlement enough to fix the house, repair the damage, and repaint the porch. I always thought the law was slow and a little blind, but sometimes if you push hard enough and don't back down, karma actually shows up. One cool evening after the dust settled, I hammered a new sign out by the drive. Private property, not under HOA jurisdiction. Trespassers will be prosecuted. We recommend you knock first. Sometimes I sit on the porch, coffee in hand, watching cars slow as they reach the end of what used to be Cypress Hollow. Some stop, some don't. Here's what gets me. Where's the line, really? How much power should a handful of people have over someone else's life, all under the flag of community? How far would you go if someone tried to paper over your rights inch by inch with fake votes and bogus rules? Would you fight or just walk away? I want to know, where do you draw your line? If you've ever stared down this kind of power play, or you've got a story of your own, tell me. I'm listening. And who knows, maybe next time it'll be your story on this porch.